Welcome everyone to today's Wisdom Dharma Chat. Today's a special Dharma Chat for many reasons, a special day, a special time with special guests. So we have His Eminence Kalu Rinpoche zooming in from Bangkok, and I have Michele Loew here with me in studio. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Daniel.
And
Pleasure.
we should be able to hear Rinpoche very soon. In the meantime, I'll do a quick introduction. I think everyone knows Rinpoche, but bear with me. His Eminence the Second Kalu Rinpoche is a world-renowned spiritual teacher and emissary of Vajrayana Buddhism. He is the lineage holder of the Shangpa tradition. In 2004, he began a traditional 3-year retreat. In 2009, he received from Tai Situ Rinpoche all the transmissions of the Shangpa lineage. In 2010, Kalu Rinpoche traveled to the West for the first time and took charge of the meditation centers the first Kalu Rinpoche had created around the world. Since then, Rinpoche has been traveling tirelessly in service of the Dharma and the Shangpa lineage, and also working with Wisdom, which we're very honored to support Rinpoche's activities. And also, as I mentioned, Michele Loew is here, an international yoga teacher and practitioner of Hatha and Vajrayana yogas. She's the founder of the Yoga Space in Portland, Oregon, as well as the Vajra Yoga School of Comparative Buddhist and Indic Yoga Studies, where she teaches alongside Bob Thurman for Tibet House, US. In 2019, she began Clear Light Yoga, her school focusing on yoga nidra and the sleep and dream yoga practices of the Himalayan masters. She's known as a teacher's teacher and focuses on the deeper philosophical and esoteric aspects of the practice. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, Daniel.
And of course, the reason they're here is because Wisdom so honored to publish their book, The Yoga of Niguma. So that will be a focus of today's conversation. And I just want to make sure, Rinpoche, welcome. Are you with us?
Yes, Daniel, I'm right here. Tashidelek, Michele, both of you.
Tashidelek, Rinpoche.
So Rinpoche, thank you for making the time on your transit. You're so busy and you're so compassionate to make the time for us. I wanted to say that we're so happy and had so much amazing feedback about this book. I think it's really groundbreaking and really supporting to so many practitioners, both of the yogic tradition, Indic yogic tradition, and Buddhist practitioners. I'm wondering, Rinpoche, how have you heard any feedback? How have you seen the book's reception around the world?
Well, Tashidelek to our online participant, and thank you very much for Daniel for organizing an online conference here, the Wisdom Dharma Chat. And the last time we did the Wisdom Dharma Chat was in New York, and now we're doing it here online. And then I hope that in the future we'll be able to do it together just like last time. Regarding the feedback, many people who have come to our event in Italy and also in France, people have expressed that they have already got the book and they're very much engaged with it. And then there's people who are Buddhist and then people who are non-Buddhist as well. And so the crowd who buys the book is kind of a mixture, and that is pretty much the aim that I was hoping for. Because Niguma, of course, in the book we say the yoga of Niguma, but obviously the teachings of the Niguma is much more vast than just a one volume of the book. So that is something that I just want everybody to understand, that because what I basically made it here is basically the little bit of repackaging so that all of us, we can get a little bit of a nectar, the teachings of the Niguma. And in Bhutan, it has been receiving it very well, and especially in the school, the second in the high schoolers, youth, everybody has been doing a lot of yogas. And then also when I was in Australia a few months ago, I was in Canberra, I was in Perth, I was in Brisbane. So all the three major cities, there was those who joined the Niguma class, there was at least 1,000 in each city who have joined the Niguma yoga, doing the posture, And then I was not just sitting on the stage, I was just, going down there, pulling their leg, their elbow, and their neck a little bit, the face, the back, pushing them from the back, that sort of a thing. And they liked it very much. And that was the whole idea, it was not just a book that I want to put it out there. It was, the Michele and me, the way we teach and interact is really, just not just putting the book on the bookshelf, but actually keeping the book as a manual that we all can engage with. You see, so that was the concept, and I'm very happy how things has been going on. And also in Bhutan, there was they call it the Bhutan Echo, where they promote art and literature, and then in that one we have also launched that book as well. And then the Queen Mother, the Royal Queen Mother, also participated in it. So it has been going very well. Let's put it like this.
This is amazing to hear, Rinpoche, that the youth and the elderly community are both coming together to do these practices in Bhutan. And then also that in Australia you have 1,000 people turning up to these Niguma yoga events. And I think that it's true. Once you read this book, you want to go and practice it. And what better way to practice it with Rinpoche or Michele, right? That's incredible. And I can't believe Rinpoche is walking around adjusting people.
He's amazing. It's amazing. He gets right in there. It's incredible. Yeah.
And also when we did the event in Australia, all the three major events that we have done, it was absolutely free for everyone to come. So there was a sense of a little bit like a charity, making the whole event free. And then also from their side, they're engaging with the absolute respect and appreciation. And that combination, I like that experience very much.
Yeah, it's it feels very much community based, right? So like often when you go to a teaching or something like that, it can be very like individual, even though there's lots of people there. But if you're there trying to practice something together and you're like looking around to see how is this actually done, and it feels like this book talks to a number of different audiences. Obviously, Buddhists who probably hadn't been used to yoga before, getting introduced to yoga, but also the yogic community getting introduced to this Buddhist yoga. So Michele, I was wondering how you're seeing the feedback, how you think of it's being received in the yogic community, this yoga.
So I've found that, I had an event at my studio, which is, the yoga space was predominantly, it's a Hatha yoga studio. And the students are very dedicated to that. So this book came out and it was, of course, they're interested in what their teacher's doing. And they come to the first event and it's actually surprised me. They're in love with it.
Wow.
And so now a lot of them came, to see, we had a retreat together in July and in June in Italy. And so a lot of them met Rinpoche there and had never practiced Buddhism before. And now some of them are going back to Bhutan for a retreat with him. And so I think that it's an interesting way for Hatha yogis to look into something or to explore something in a gentle way. It's not trying to convert anybody. Of course, as His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, stick with your grandmother's religion. But it's a way for them to be softly, gently introduced to these practices. And then if it's their karma, of course, they might go on to study more in depth. But I think that there's something that people are looking for in the Hatha community that that Niguma yoga has that potentially is missing there. And it's not just the pranayama, because we have that there too, but it's the intention and the motivation behind it and these other aspects and we can learn a lot from, of course, the Tibetan and the Buddhist yogas, because much of what was, I think, lost in India, from Hatha yoga sort of being dispersed, was preserved in Tibet. And so I personally have gained so much more as I went from just practicing Hatha yoga to learning Vajrayana and these yogas. It's informed my practice greatly. So I think it's going to be very popular. We just have to get the word out. We have to get Rinpoche to come back to the United States and meet the yogis here and pull their arms and stretch them and like that.
And then just want to add to what Michelle was saying, that conversion, right? We are not trying to convert anybody. And that was also the key, right? Because when Michelle and when we are teaching in Milan, when I'm teaching in France, when I was teaching in Australia, what I was telling them is that learn and practice appropriately so that you be the teacher and you guide the other people by yourself. This is not going to be something like, oh, the Michelle is the lineage holder, or I am the Kalu Rinpoche, the author of this wisdom publication book, so you need to have my authority. It's not going to be like that, I told them. I say, you train it, we will help you train it, become better, refine your posture, not just assume that you're doing it well, but refine your posture and the practice and the ethical background. And then, be the free bird, be adventurous and make your own group of people. The last thing we want to do is going backward, right? Like an example, if we go into this, Kalu Rinpoche is the lineage holder, Michelle is the lineage holder. So what it does is that you creating this kind of a misrepresentation of the Dharma, and you are basically the ordinary people start to feel like, am I being in a cult, or am I being a Buddhist, or am I practicing yoga? So you're not really attracting the right group of people when you approach in that way, you see? So then it has to be decentralized, let's put it like this. So, but we have to tell people that train it well, refine with your practice, have the right mindset, and you are not being held back by me, in a sense, or by Michelle, by saying, oh, we are the only people who can provide a solution. You can be better than us, right? But continue to approach to other people, continue to start as a career, or to help other people, right? So that was our concept, basically.
I think that's very clear in the book, Rinpoche. You're very clear that this is not about converting, and there's a real sense of openness and freedom in the book. There's a sense of people being able to learn things so that they can stand on their own two feet. And this is one of the great gifts in this book, is that these practices in the Tibetan tradition have often been sort of very secret, not so open. So this is a very sort of open, and it's an open without sort of you having to sign up to something. You don't have to sign up to anything in this book. It's you have to, if you want, sign up to doing the practices, and that's up to you. And so then, of course, we know yoga can be very beneficial for health, right? But there's many things that can be beneficial for health. We can go running, we can go swimming, we can do yoga, right? And so I'm wondering, for the person who's, we're not asking anyone to sign up to Buddhist tenets or anything like that, but if they're spiritually interested, what could you, how could you benefit from this yoga? Someone might say, I meditate in whatever tradition. I never even thought about doing yoga, right? I know there's these other guys that do yoga, but why should I do yoga? What's the benefit of doing yoga in this context?
Is that a question to me?
A question for you, Rinpoche. And I know, Rinpoche, maybe I'll ask the question. I know 2 times in your life, this yoga became very, very powerful, inspiring for you. You tell the story in the book. I think second year in your 3-year retreat, you practiced this yoga, and it really sung to your heart, right?
Yeah.
And then I think you came out of retreat, and you had so much sort of burden being the Rinpoche and all these things, and then but during COVID, the practices really started to sing to your heart again, and so obviously you're well trained in the Buddhist tradition, but there's something that this yoga has given you inspiration. I was wondering, what is that, and could we hope to benefit in the same way?
I think at the end, number one is that from my understanding, when you have a clarity of the mind and then the teaching, you are more receptive to any teachings from any great masters. So obviously, if you put it in a hierarchy position, structural basis, in a very conservative way, the yoga is somewhere hidden and tantric and so on and so forth. But let me be very clear on that particular topic. When you say Sangha Dorje Tekpa, it means all the teachings of the Vajrayana. It does not mean cherry picking, one is secret, one is not. So the whole identity of the Vajrayana Buddhism, that the Tibet is known as the Vajrayana kingdom, right? Then the Bhutan is known as the Vajrayana kingdom, right? The Sikkim is also known as the Vajrayana kingdom, right? So the whole country, social structure, way of thinking, everything is based on the Vajrayana's culture. So there is no such thing as a cherry picking what is secret and what is not, because that fantasy is long gone. Since the 900 to 1,000 years ago. And that's number one. And then, like an example, the second part to clear this misunderstanding. Those who say, "Oh, this is tantric, this is not." Like an example, Kala Chakra is never heard by the general public historically. Let alone giving it to the masses. So, like previous Kalu Rinpoche started this culture, right? Giving so many times of Kala Chakra empowerment around the world. And then His Holiness Dalai Lama, surpassing the previous Kalu Rinpoche, the numbers and amounts of Kala Chakra that he have given around the world, right? So the Kala Chakra is the highest tantric level of practice. So if you speak about secrecy, it's all secret. But then the change of that Vajrayana has to be open to all the people and has to be taught appropriately, and then to see how to benefit other people, based on the teachers themselves, practitioners themselves, has been initiated quite a long time ago. So that's number one. Number two is that, like I was saying in the beginning of my explanation, is that when you do yoga, you're focused on the breath, you're focused on the movement of the whole body, and then your mind is synchronized together, and you bring profound sense of clarity. You see, and you're not saying, "Oh, I seek something else from somewhere else." You're not having any sense of expectation, such as I want to get blessing, or I want to get this, I want to get that object, I want to reach there, here and there. That you are beyond the state of the mind of such destination distraction, whether it's with visualization and whatnot. You are very much focused on the breath and the body and the mind synchronized together. And then, therefore, you bring a sense of clarity, right? And my whole purpose of bringing this Niguma yoga is that I'm not trying to brand the Shangpa lineage so that people can study more into Shangpa lineage. My whole purpose is that so that they can find a little bit of peace, right?
Yeah.
And then they become Nyingma, Sacha, Gelu, Chona, Shangpa, doesn't matter. Long as they, able to relate to the teachings of the Lord Buddha, and that is the goal, right? Let them find a little bit of peace that they have within them so that they can connect with the Buddha Dharma. That is the sole objective. And that's what I've been telling when I was in Bhutan, when I was in Australia, when I was in Europe, when I was in America as well, you see. So that is my purpose of bringing this Niguma out there. It's
That's
very
very
simple.
clear.
Sorry.
Very clear. Sorry, Rinpoche. You were going to say something extra.
No. I was interrupting you. I'm sorry.
No,
I already
the other
finished.
way around. My bad, Rinpoche. So, Rinpoche, it seems like that these practices, one way you're describing it, is a synchronization of body, speech, and mind, which leads to this clarity of awareness. And I'm wondering, Michele, is that what these practices are helping you do? And could you give us some examples?
I think so. When you asked about why people should do this and what makes it maybe special from other types of practices, really, I've been teaching a course this weekend at Tibet House, and we've been focusing on a part of the book. Starts with number 18, and this is on Niguma gave her blessing of giving us these set of postures to overcome the hindrances, the kleshas, the obscurations, right? Emotions or addictions to such anger, craving, clinging, like that, ignorance. But in this section, and Rinpoche is so beautiful at teaching this as well, where we will do a practice, and then at the end of that posture, we spend time almost dropping into that clarity of mind as we would in shamatha. So it's sort of, to me, more than what I find in Hatha yoga these days. It's like a combination of meditation, mindfulness within movement. So there'll be movement, and then there's meditation. And I think people are really looking for a way that they can get their minds to still, and not just moving the body for physical health, but also to start to be introduced to a way to really find this clarity of mind. And so that's what we're trying to do with it, is teach it so that you're not just doing one posture after another, but then you come back to stillness, and you come back to clarity.
It's so nice the way you explain it, that because sometimes you might think, should I do yoga before or after I meditate, or meditate first, yoga, which order? But this seems like it's so integrated that there's
really
aspects of meditation throughout the movement, and you're bringing these things together.
Yes, really integrated. And the way Rinpoche has taught me is to not rush, to do a posture and then to spend time and coming back to the breath, coming back to stillness, focusing at the bottom of the exhale, until almost there's, the kumbhaka or bumpachan, right? The breath retention. Then it starts to become like kevala kumbhaka, where your breath just spontaneously stops and there's nobody there doing anything. You're just in the clarity, in that stream of
It can get
pure
profound.
being.
It can become very profound, actually.
Yes, and so I think the students get that pretty quickly with this.
So Rinpoche, it seems like you can, because sometimes when you look at this sequence or we see Rinpoche doing it, it can be so overwhelming, right? But we can do this in pieces, yeah? So it seems like you can start. So how are you finding, when you teach it, how are you finding the best way for people to get into this? Like, could we start with just the first pose, right? And just get that down. How would you advise us to start?
I would advise, from my observation, is that so far what I've observed is that there is no risk and then reward from the practice. Okay, so avoid this idea of I need to risk it all. If I have a knee injury, I have a back injury, oh, the Niguma will be there, and anyway, I will do it and I will injure myself. Who cares? That sense of mindset and recklessness has to be avoided. That's number one. Because I've seen a lot of people who come for the first time in Niguma yoga event, and they tend to get a little bit excited, and they tend to be a little bit showing off, to the person next to them, like trying to jump and trying to make a certain movement. And I tell them, cool it down. Like, we are not here to compete anything. We are not here to win the medal. So just relax a bit. So I think that's number one key point is risking it and then expecting some sort of a miracle reward instantly. That mindset has to stop. Second is that any sequence that you feel compatible with, I think that is the most important. Like an example, it doesn't have to be sequence number 1, 2, 3. It can be like sequence number 16, 12, 13, and etc. So you can go bounce back and forth in the beginning, but at some point, maybe once or twice or 3 times a month, you have to do the full cycle in the right order as an actual practice, because you need to build up your muscle memory first, because the breathing capacity, bumchen, keeping the air as a vast, that tolerance takes time. Muscle memory is more quicker to be memorized, right? So therefore, adapting slowly, gradually is very important. Like an example, when I'm going back in Bhutan in November, this global peace prayer, the organization, they asked me to lead the Niguma yoga, you see. So I'm going to teach Niguma yoga to the kids who are young as 9 years old, 12 years old, old as 60, 70, 80, so there is no age limit. So we are going to come, a lot of people are going to come together and we are going to do the yoga. And that is going to be quite an experience. And the funny part is that, are you aware, Daniel, are you aware of the labubu, that toy?
No. What is that?
Labubu, it's
What is that?
have you ever heard of what is it, Pop Mart? Have you ever heard of this?
No.
In Asia, it's this super hip,
Yeah.
like collectible toys, and I know somebody very special to Rinpoche who's obsessed with Labubu.
Labubu.
And yeah, in fact, when I was in Bangkok, I shopped for a birthday present of a Labubu, so I was educated.
Labubu.
Well, we'll just have to maybe send you one.
Yeah, Labubu.
So basically, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to not just that I'm not just going to do the Niguma yoga, but I'm going to bait with the labubu, toys, so that all the Bhutanese youth would come, under the condition that they have to do the Niguma yoga meditation, then they get the reward of that toy.
That's super,
There, yes,
You might
action
need-
off.
Yeah, extra room you might need. It'll be considered a craze of Naguma yoga for Labubu.
Rinpoche, I'm stopping in Bangkok on my way for the November, Global Peace Prayer. So maybe I'll pick up some extra labubus and contribute them to that.
Yeah,
And if
something
you need
like
an
that.
assistant out in the crowd helping, I'll walk around and help. If you need that,
Yes,
I'll
yes.
help you.
But well, what I'm trying to say is that, I've been teaching Niguma yoga to the Bhutanese youth, and when I say youth, they're like 12 years old, 11 years old, and young as some teenagers, 6 years old, and so on. And they've been engaged very much, and they've been fascinated, and I like that very much, that they are interested because they can feel and sense in the physical level. Because sometimes when you are in a very conservative country, you tend to see your religion or your belief as a part of a culture rather than a spirituality, rather than the Dharma. So when I share this experience with them and they practice together in a very friendly atmosphere, and then they get interested in the Dharma. So that's I find it very important, that middle path. Let's put it like this.
Yeah, it's very good because I think I imagine a lot of these children are not, or even teenagers are not so interested in going to the temple,
No.
but coming and doing some yoga seems, something that's energizing, and they have a lot of energy. Young children have a lot of energy, so this is maybe an excellent practice for them.
And then when we do the classes in person, we keep it very relaxed. I make a joke, they make a joke, everybody laughs, everybody becomes quite judgmental in the beginning, quite stiff, and then the second day or in the afternoon they become quite relaxed, and so on. So everybody is trying to help each other with their posture. And I try to help them that, oh, you see, she's doing very good. He's doing very good. You should learn from her. Engage with her. Engage with him. That sort of a thing. So that's how I interact in Bhutan as well. Yeah.
It's really special to me because in 2022, I was in Bhutan for the first time, and I was speaking at the Vajrayana conference there, and it was on modernity. The theme of the conference was modernity in Vajrayana Buddhism. And I talked about the program that I was doing with Bob Thurman, on Vajra Yoga. And when I first got to Bhutan, and I love yoga classes anywhere, so I was staying at a hotel and I booked the yoga class, and I was the only student, but there was a wonderful Bhutanese man that taught me yoga, but it was a Hatha yoga class, Indian style, And so at the end of my speech there, I told them, this is the Vajrayana kingdom, and I hope that at the end, when I come back in a few years, that when I have a yoga class here, that it will be a Vajra type yoga, and I had that. And the interesting thing is, I didn't really know Kalu Rinpoche that well. We had sort of intersected a little bit, but he and was at that conference, and it was the first time he introduced, a few days after I gave this speech, he introduced the Niguma yoga, and it was packed in the room, you know. But people, the Bhutanese were coming up to me at the end of this, at many of the even conservative ones, and said, well, we really like the idea that you're saying, you know, that this is a wonderful, you know, vision that you have, and yet it's so conservative here. We don't, you know, we're told we'd have to do another 100,000 prostrations, another 100,000 mandala offerings. We've done them so many times, but we don't even, you know, ever have an opportunity. Never going to teach us these yogas. And then suddenly, Kalu Rinpoche, it was like he was listening to my heart, and he introduced it, and now all of them are practicing it. So I do think that dream I had, you know,
it's coming to fruition.
Coming through. So thank you, Kalu Rinpoche.
It's so funny because
they wanted to learn it.
You heard this from them, that, oh, I have to do 100,000 this, when will I ever get to do yoga? And Rinpoche is teaching hundreds and thousands of kids his yoga. So I think that definitely shows something has changed. I do have one question for you. If you go back to Bhutan and you go at your hotel and you decide to do a yoga class again, what would tell you, what would be the sign, other than like advertising? You do the class, and at the end of the class you say, oh, that was a Vajra yoga, a Vajrayana yoga. What would be the sign for you to know that that's different?
Working with the breath integrated through the postures. And as well, there would be a motivation at the beginning. You know, there's just a little bit, so we bring in, you know, the Buddhist tradition in a subtle way at the beginning of the class. And then we would move the body, holding the breath, and we would do more of the traditional Salung Chokor style practices. So you can tell very, very easily.
You'll know straight away.
Yeah, you'll know straight away.
And Rinpoche, have you done like Indian yoga, like non-Buddhist yoga in classes? Have you done that style of yoga? Are you aware of that?
I saw him do a down dog once.
Has Michele been converting you?
Yeah, I will be converting to Michele's new religion, yes. Yeah. Kalu Rinpoche is no longer Buddhist. He is following Michele's religion.
Oh my gosh. I did that to Bob. He used to, Patanjali, you know, the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali, he used to throw him in the back alley with the bums. Now he calls him Patanjali Buddha. You know?
That's nice.
So yeah. There's
probably a lot of crossover then. Yes, Rinpoche.
And then, you know, like an example, what was Michele was saying, the distinction that we teach is that, of course, the first session is always about making them feel comfortable, and then with the posture, with the breathing, and make sure that they come for a yoga class, right? And then by second day, then we talk about bodhicitta. You know, we talk about bodhicitta, we talk about refuge, and by second day, third day, and then some people want to take a refuge all by themselves. You see, so that is the whole the concept that we have in our mind, and that's, you know, you are making people feel safe and comfortable and relatable, and at the end they still have to walk with their own 2 feet in the Buddha Dharma, right?
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah. And Rinpoche, what sort of questions are you getting when you introduce this yoga to people? Do they come up? Do they have? I don't know if they have the opportunity to ask you questions, but what sort of things are people asking you once they've experienced this early on?
So far, right now, the majority of the people that I've engaged with, I always tell them right away, you know, don't go too much about the feeling this and feeling that.
Yeah.
Focus on the breath, focus on the posture, focus on the sequence. Because when you don't tell them that, and then they tend to overthink a lot, right? Because they're having an unusual experience throughout the physical body. And they feel some sort of flexibility, they feel some sort of a relaxation, you know, a little bit relaxed and calm mind. And those who tend to overthink, they tend to have a lot of mixture of different kind of questions. So I always tell them from the beginning, you know, don't overthink about many things. Focus on the breath, focus on the physical posture, and the meditation synchronizing together. So that pretty much solves all the questions and the doubt. And then, of course, they have questions about, oh, I am, uh, you know, I have a knee problem, I have a back problem, I have an elbow problem. Should I do it? And then I always tell them, no, if you have a risk of injuring yourself, there's no point of doing it, right? If you are like if I am a telopa, why not jump off the cliff? And then I snap my finger, and then somehow you are healed instantly, right? But I'm not that.
Rinpoche, do you
Yes.
remember the woman that was, her shoulder was sort of frozen? She wasn't able to use her arms. I think it was in Oregon and maybe in Ashland or something. And she was like I don't know if she was a nurse or something, but afterwards she was able to actually move her arm, move her shoulder.
She had a blood clot, and she was a nurse, and her whole arm was kind of a black and blue, sort of. So she cannot move much. So she's not a Buddhist. She's a friend of the two lamas, Lama Yishi and Lama Pema. We have our center over there called Suka Chiling, Kaju Suka Chiling. It's in Ashland, Oregon. I was there to lead the Niguma yoga class, and then she was there attending out of curiosity. So I taught her a little bit of Niguma yoga, and then on the third day, fourth day, she had a little bit of pain, and she had a blood clot for quite a while, actually. And then after 1 week, her blood clot was gone. And then I have a lady who is a student of Wanchen Rinpoche, and she joined the Niguma class in Paris the year before. And then she had a lot of back pain. She has a back pain for almost 6 years, and she's been taking a lot of painkillers and so on. And then she started doing a Niguma yoga session with me, with our participant in Paris. And then after 2 days, she said, Rinpoche, my back pain is gone. Just so you know, I've been eating a lot of painkillers. I have a lot of back pain. So since I started doing Niguma yoga and posture, and my back pain is gone. So things like that. So that is an actual individuals who I have never met before. So they have no reason to sugarcoat me, right?
Yes.
They have no reason to sugarcoat me. They have no reason to give me a sweet talk. They have their own life, and they have their own curiosity, and that it was their experience. Yeah.
Rinpoche, is it known through ancient times that this yoga is also can heal as well? Is that something that's known or in the text, or is this more a spiritual practice in the text?
From my point of view, when I was in the retreat, the yoga practice, I never got sick the moment I started for 2 years and a half. So that's that. I never got injured, never got hurt until now. But the most important is, I think, when your mind is calm and when you're keeping the air as a vast pumbachin, and I think it activates a lot of small particles of your muscle that where you're not really engaging in the normal basis. And that is a theory from one of the physician as well. And then also it creates a good blood flow throughout your body. And you can actually feel the blood flow if you are very consistent. If you're not consistent, then obviously your body is flexible for the first few days, and you stop doing the yoga. Then again, it takes time, takes 2-3 days to bounce back to the peak experience that you may be having previously, right? So if you are very consistent, you can actually feel your blood flow, you know, throughout your arms until here. So that was my own personal experience. So when you have a good blood flow, and then you have a calmer mind, and then good health.
Yeah.
So that's that. When you have too much stiffness, and then your muscle becomes stiff, everything becomes stiff. So that's that. That's just my external observation.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Rinpoche, I have a question around, often when you come across these books or go to a class, and then you're learning, you're learning how to do this, and it takes some time to get this synchronization of the body, the breath, and the mind. But
Mm-hmm.
after you stick with it after a certain time, and so that becomes very clear. Here's the instructions. You have to stick with it. You have to work, and you get a sense that you're um, synchronizing, and you can go back to the book and find this out. There's often, for someone who actually sticks with it, dedicated, spends a year, 2 years doing it, uh,
Mm-hmm.
then you can sometimes plateau, right? You like
Mm-hmm.
get to this point where, okay, now I'm doing it every day, and you get sort of like it becomes sort of a little bit, okay, now I know what I'm doing. But often there's not help at that stage. What should I be doing now, right? How can I go further? What
Mm-hmm.
should I do? So once someone becomes proficient at this and it becomes like a daily practice and they have some clarity, is
Mm-hmm.
it just a matter of just making this part of your life, or is there more advice you have for people at that stage? Because I often think that people don't get to interact with the teacher once they've arrived there. And so I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to ask that question for those people.
I think, and that was the similar topic that what we have discussed yesterday at the Tibet House engagement, and uh, and I like that question very well. So that gives me an opportunity to answer in that way. You see, number one, when you do Niguma yoga, the number one way to exhale yourself in terms of experience is to, to be aware of your diet, your lifestyle, and it should not be based on, how can I describe? It should not be other way around. You understand? It's like right now, like an example, I'm a bodybuilder, right? So I say I need to eat this and I need to eat that. I need to eat this in order to look like this, in order to look like that. But when you approach with the Niguma yoga, you should not be going towards the diet and having a different angle, but rather you should listen to your body, you should listen to your mind, you should listen to the sensorial, the sensorial level of your mind as you develop a gradual awareness, and then the way you perceive food becomes the essence of energy rather than the consumption of taste. You understand? So when you reach to that level of understanding and that level of clarity, and then once that become quite stable, not like one day, sort of miracle experience, and then being introduced to Tonglen practice, which relates to illusionary body and mind. So then it is a good stage to initiate in that regard. But until you are haven't developed the quality of the mind where you are sort of not delusional. There's the individual who say, I'm a Buddhist, I don't eat this and I don't eat that. Not like that kind of a mindset. That's too rigid. And then also the other spectrum is that oh, I practice Niguma yoga every day, so I have to do this and I have to do that, and very much strong fixated mind. That also doesn't help. So when you develop a sense of very much aware, not a forced concentration to yourself, but a very genuinely a sense of stability of awareness, once it's developed on its own, not forced, on its own, over the time. And then once you start to perceive in all the sensorial of the taste, smell, visual, hearing, criticism, praise, pleasant or unpleasant, once you start to see the sensorial world with a little bit of distance rather than being impulsive, right? And then you are entering into some sort of a stability of a in of a of being an individual who can practice the illusionary body and mind. But
Nice.
until then, you don't touch that area.
Okay, Michelle, do you want to add something to that?
I
You
mean,
you were
this
discussing this
is
yesterday.
a classic question to yogis, and students ask this too. Like they get to that certain plateau you're speaking of, and then so a lot of times they just check out and then they go find something else. But we always say that's when the practice really begins. So I think what Rinpoche is pointing to is that right at that point when maybe you're adept, it's become artful. Now is really, that's the time where you can advance in the practice of the mind. He mentioned Tonglen, and he was speaking yesterday about compassion being a way to approach the illusory body. So, you know, maybe Rinpoche can explain too, and the book he does this well as well, but how these Niguma yogas are, the practice that we're talking about in the book, the physical practices, are not the same as the 6 yogas of Niguma. So potentially, I think the fortifying of the body and the clarity of the mind and stability with the breath and practicing Bumpachen can really help somebody start to prepare then for moving into the 6 yogas and then eventually the dharmas. So I think in a way it could be a little bit of preparatory, but they should still stick with it, because that's when you really start to get the nectar. Is that point when it almost starts to become boring, and then you want to keep moving with it, and that's when you'll start to have the big transformation. I thought about what you said yesterday, Rinpoche, with compassion being this entrance for illusory body, something like that. And I remembered that there's this beautiful Sanskrit, I don't know what it would be in Tibetan, Daniel could help me with this, but it's Shunyata Karuna Garbham, which is emptiness, the womb of compassion. And I thought about how you said that compassion would be the sort of a way to then understand the illusory body. And with illusory body, I always think of more of the starting to have a realization of emptiness, right? And so now it was almost he was flipping it, and you could go at it both ways, generating bodhicitta and having this mind of compassion that could help us to start to understand, you know, the connection and then and emptiness versus the other way. But anyway, I think that at that point in practice, that's when we really want to start to cultivate this mind.
It's getting juicy now. It's getting really juicy.
And then also you have to be very careful and not overly sensitive, but you know, some people they tend to become delusional at some point.
Yeah.
So you have to have a double check on yourself constantly. You know, having a sharpness of your observation quality of the mind is equally important as the journey and the practice that you have it.
You need the element of the earth and space together, right?
Yes. I think that is very important because sometimes when we read a lot of teachings and a lot of biography of all the great masters, and we get inspired so much that when we get a little bit of hint of experience, that then we assume that we have reached to that level already. You see, so having that observation, reminder, gentle reminder, not a harsh reminder, gentle reminder, I think is necessary.
Yeah, the experience is not, nyam is not talk, right? The experience is not
Yes.
necessarily realization. And
Mm-hmm.
I love what you guys are describing here, and I think it's really, we can get our hands on this because once you have this synchronized, this practice helps you synchronize your body, your breath, your mind, and then you have this clarity, and then this subtlety of mind. Your actual body becomes a little bit your teacher. Your senses can become your teacher, right? And like Rinpoche is explaining, even your appetite becomes your teacher. Your hearing can become your teacher, and this sort of gets you into this illusory body practice, and we can do with compassion. And I want to make a plug for Rinpoche's courses on Wisdom Academy, because some people might hear illusory body, what the hell is that? So we have some, Rinpoche has been so kindly giving teachings on our Wisdom Academy. We'll put the link in the chat. I think the latest one is Niguma's Dream Yoga. So then there's all these amazing practices you've been alluding to. And so I think this sort of connects so well, so that once you become, this practice is a nice entry point into these other further advanced practices if you wish. Is that fair, Rinpoche?
Yes. Yeah.
We're wrapping up our time here just for this conversation. We're going to go have a 5-minute break and then go to questions from the audience for a little while. Rinpoche, is there anything you wanted to add before we go to break?
Not at the moment. We can take a break and then we let other people ask the question.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Thank you.
go live now. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for all your questions. We'll get straight into them. So, Rinpoche, the first question is around Sukha Siddhi's enlightenment in one day. So there's a story that someone's asking this question, that in the Niguma lineage that Sukha Siddhi got enlightened in one day, and this sort of instant enlightenment, but then normally you hear it's 50 years or much longer to get enlightenment, and many lifetimes, and it seems like no one's getting enlightened these days. So was there something special about the time, about this practice, that allowed Sukha Siddhi to become enlightened so quickly?
Sukhasiddhi, just to put it correctly, Sukhasiddhi did not reach enlightenment in one day, but in 6 months. It was at least 6 to 7 months that she has been doing a retreat and practice under the guidance of Mahasiddha Birwapa. And then she received all the tantric teachings and practice when she was 65 years old. And then she became the leader of all the Khandromas of India. So that is what the biography says.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
You're welcome.
So, Rinpoche, there's a specific question. This person said they want to take the opportunity because they have access to you in this way. They have a specific question around sequence 8 and 9. And they said that in the physical yogas of Niguma from Taranatha, it mentioned that this is normally done with a pole, starting with a single hand and then a double hand. I don't know about these things, but I'll just ask the question. Doing a pole vaulting style of movement. Does Rinpoche know about this way of practicing, and can he say anything more about it?
Oh, how does it even look? I don't understand.
I don't know, that somehow 8 and 9 you're using a pole or something.
Can I see the 8 and 9?
The eight Rinpoche is like with the leg up the tree, and then the other one is this one. So
Okay.
yeah.
So it's more to do with this one, right? Just basically pull and throw, pull and throw, pull and throw along with the leg, and the calf has to hit the hamstring at this synchronizing on the right 3 times and then the left 3 times.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know about with a pole. I don't really understand this.
How that would use, yeah.
No.
So maybe we don't worry about that one so much.
I mean, the sequence number 8 is you're standing like you would in the Hatha Yoga, the tree posture, Vrikshasana, but your arms are out like this. So what are you going to have a pole?
Yeah, and probably the point is for the balance as well. So we maybe need further research on this one, I think.
Yes, it's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by it.
And there's probably many styles and ways of doing this yoga in ancient India. You see these images, it's so different in different ways. And so relatedly, in terms of different styles of yoga, there's a question: how is true core and yantra yoga related to the yoga of Niguma?
What is the relation between the true core and the Niguma yoga?
Yeah.
Niguma yoga is Tunkoro, but it's just that we are avoiding the BEP.
Yes.
So, because when we are introducing to the public, to the masses, the last thing you want to do is to cause the injury. So we pretty much remove the BEP. The BEP, what it does is that it brings adrenaline, in your brain. So when you do 7 times of BEP, it is equivalent to 30 minutes of running. Like an example, when you go for a run or cycling, and I love cycling, it takes like 20 to 30 minutes to get into a zone. So like an example, if you do a BEP, what it does is that it brings a sense of focus inwardly, and instantly, like let's say you do 8 times, 12 times of BEP, and then your whole adrenaline rush comes inwardly. And that's why many of the BEPs are in the beginning sequence, not at the end of the sequence, because you're going from the physical concentration, clarity, to a subtle level of experience of the body posture. You see? So that's therefore, if you can just simply bring a sense of clarity in one's own mind, and then it's pretty much the same. So you're not missing out a lot. Let's put it like this. By, and then of course, when you do Talong Trukoro, you need to receive empowerment and the Niguma's Talong Truko empowerment, instructions and transmissions. And then there's a Tumo practice. There's a Tumo practice where you have to visualize the different stages as well.
Okay, thank you, Rinpoche. There was another question sort of related to what you just said, and the question is, dear Rinpoche, is an empowerment in person necessary to follow the practice of Niguma?
Empowerment, if you do the Niguma yoga version that we are doing right now, it's not necessary. But then if you do the 3 years retreat version of it in the traditional aspect, then you have to receive all the transmission, empowerment, teachings, guidance, everything, every bit of it. And just to be clear, like an example, I promote a traditional 3 years retreat, so I'm not going in the direction of let's modernize everything. I'm good in putting a bait out there. Let's put it like this. I'm good in putting a bait out there. So that's pretty much it. But the main thing is, like an example, next year in France, in Grenoble, we are going to start one of the biggest 3 years retreat in the whole Western Hemisphere.
Wow.
So like in the biggest, in a sense, there's going to be a lot of retreatants, and we are going to implement the practice, like an example, Narochuruk practice, the 6 yogas of Naropa, 6 yogas of Niguma, Kala Chakra practice, Dzogchen practice as well. So the whole 3 years retreat is going to be combination of all this different practices. Like an example, if you trace back of the Gelugpa lineage, of course they practice, how can I say, Kala Chakra, and then also Kadampa lineage, right? If you trace back. And then of course they do Dzogchen practice. They also do Narochuruk practice as well.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the Chonang tradition, they have a Joduk practice, the sixth practice of Kala Chakra related. So therefore, in our 3 years retreat in France, in Grenoble, of course, people have to spend time, 6 months, getting to know each other, because many people, especially in the Western world, many people living alone by themselves once they're 18. So then when they seek a spirituality, they think they don't have to deal with anybody else, just themselves. That is partially true, but partially not true. So when you do in the retreat, you have to get along with other people. So in that, because the Dharma Center is one of, it's a little bit like a very old Dharma Center initiated by previous Kalu Rinpoche. And this Lama Rinpoche said to me, Rinpoche, what am I supposed to do? I'm getting old, but I cannot look after the center. What is the legacy, right? The continuation. And I said, well, Rinpoche, what I think is that we should make a universal 3 years retreat. Instead of having a different retreat throughout the continent, we should have a one Oxford-like retreat. And then we will invite a great master like Jaltab Rinpoche, right, from the Kaju region tradition, to give Narochuruk empowerments and teachings in a very proper manner. So in the traditional aspect, we go full scale. And then the modernized aspect, we keep it, relaxed, throw some cheese out there.
I love it.
Be a good bait.
Like what did you say? The La Boo Boo or something?
A little bit like throw the toys out there.
If you like cheese, you might be drawn to France, to Grenoble.
Yes. So that's that.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
You're welcome.
There's so many questions, Rinpoche, and I know you have to go soon, so I'll just pick some specific ones, group them together. So there's lots of questions about when Rinpoche will be able to offer these types of classes in the US. East Coast, how can people invite Rinpoche? Maybe we'll go with that, Rinpoche, those questions.
Okay. Yeah, I think invite Rinpoche. I don't think I will, I would like to be everyone, I don't think I would like to be everywhere wherever there's an invitation. I think it's just time-wise, it's just not possible. And yeah, I think when I'm there in whether it's in New York, whether it's in California, just keep in touch with our website, right? Whether it's a Niguma website, whether it's a um, the Shangpa website, or my social media, just look out, right? Just watch out to any kind of information you may be getting, and I think you will know 3 months before, 3 months before at least. So then, instead of me visiting in every different places, because I've done that for the last 16 years, and like visiting every Dharma center and then repeating all over again and again and again. And at some point, after the 3 months of the tour, you're completely burned out. So I don't want to keep on repeating that way. That's why the last few times when I was in America, I was in Tibet House, I was in New Mexico, I was in San Francisco, but I was not really keeping the same loop of repetitive event. So what we will do is that we will probably make a very nice big event in New York, downtown, where everybody could come. And if and then if you're on the West Coast, we will make similar event just like that. And earlier, I was supposed to come to, in New York, launch the book and magazine and, social media, whatnot, everything. But I am basically uh, working, for Bhutan, for bringing a social economic, elevating, uh, lifting the social economic structures. Let's put it like this. So that is one of the few reasons that I couldn't be in United States in this year, but I will definitely be there, next year around the summertime when people have a little bit of space with them.
And in the meantime, I'll just interject that in about 2 weeks, we'll have nigumayoga.org, and there'll be just email, and we're going to start doing just a weekly practice group. I'll lead a weekly practice group of Niguma Yoga so people can come in, and we'll create that Sangha sort of that way, and at least can keep people sort of in the loop until Rinpoche comes.
That answers a lot of the questions here. So nigumayoga.org
Niguma.org, and that will be out in about 2 weeks right now. So they'll wait for that. But then just put your email list on there, and then we'll sign you up for the. We'll give you a few options. Myself, it'll be sort of the U.S. time zone for the practice. We also have a teacher that Rinpoche quite loves in Australia named James. And then we have one in France. So we'll try to have 3 different time zones of practice groups.
Fantastic.
But the main one I'll lead is will be good for East Coast, West Coast.
That's amazing. And when the time is right for Rinpoche, where Wisdom will let everyone know, we will do a big, huge Niguma Yoga party here in New York and have everyone practicing together.
Yeah.
Yes, sounds good.
And so Rinpoche, another general question that I'm just going to group together, or maybe I'll read out one. The general question is a worry of these teachings are so beneficial and powerful, but also there's a worry that if people do it wrong, it may be harmful. So the question here is, this is a specific question that someone had. So after following the retreat in France this summer, I started practicing daily. And even though I hadn't mastered all the breathing part, I was then told that practicing with a weak basis could damage my winds permanently. So I stopped doing my individual practice at home. How should I approach this? Should I stop until I'm taught more, or should I practice even if I might be doing not the breath and postures exactly correctly? Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're doing correctly from the beginning, we don't need each other, right?
Yes.
So that's the whole point. Like, how do you think I started, right? I started with a lot of incorrect postures, right? A lot of assumptions, a lot of bad memories, and terrible there's no refine whatsoever in my sequence or posture or movement, right? So don't worry about it. Just avoid the hard landing, the BEP, and then do the sequence in the right order over the time. When you do a training, focus on 1, 2, 3 sequence, any of the sequence. Just repeat each of the sequence 3, 4, 5 times, so that you build your confidence in your movement and you refine your movement as well, right? And so that's that.
Thank you, Rinpoche. And I think people might not know, in the book, there's a little link and a QR code, and that goes to videos with Rinpoche and I think Michele showing you how to do the practices. So that's something you can go back to if you just read the book or if you just went to an event. These resources are available for you to go watch Rinpoche doing it. You can watch it over and over again, and that might be helpful for some people.
Yeah, I know so many people that have the book and they didn't know about that Rinpoche's video is in the QR code. So
we'll put a link in the chat as well, so people can go straight there and check that out. That's really helpful. Okay, Rinpoche, I know you have to go soon, so we might ask one last question.
Please.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. I live in South America. Had the good fortune to meet Michele during some teachings of Vajra Yoga with Bob Thurman. Unfortunately, I have not been able to go back to USA, but I'd like to learn the practice these teachings. I would also like to offer these teachings to my yoga students. So here's the two questions. How can I, if I can't get to an event, how can I continue studying these teachings? And then how eventually would you recommend I go about have the ability to pass these on to my students?
I think passing on to your student and then making it better of yourself. Well, just in like what Michele was saying, there's one person in Australia, one person in France, in the European time zone, and in Australian time zone, and then also North American time zone. I think you try to engage in it, online, and then be part of the community. And I think that will be, first step. And then the second step is to make sure you keep it consistent and don't stress yourself too much, right? And then I'm sure it will be beneficial. Yeah.
Rinpoche and I have also talked about doing a teacher training where he would come in, probably in Vietnam, and he would come in and give a blessing and empowerment, some days of teachings, and then I would go on and work with people that wanted to be teachers, and that would include even Western modality of anatomy and physiology and all of those things to help, and then the subtle body and the inner science practices, and as well as really learning how to practice the postures together and then share them. So we're hoping that we can get that going for next year. He's very busy, so we'll see. I'll keep working on it, but we'll try. That first place I think you wanted to do was Vietnam, yeah?
Yes. I think in Vietnam, because in Thailand is over tourism, and then it's just not the right place. And in Vietnam, everything is a little bit more affordable, and then there's an international flight as well. It makes it comfortable for everyone to come and to practice.
Wonderful. That'll be amazing. A teacher training program for Niguma Yoga.
Yes.
So stay tuned, everyone. We're coming to the end of our time. I wanted to give Michele just like if you could share with us some final thoughts, and then Rinpoche, if you could share with us some final thoughts, Michele.
This practice of Niguma Yoga has transformed my life greatly, and I know I'm not sure who told the questioner about that it could damage their winds and whatnot, but for me, I was also very rough at practicing it first. And Rinpoche had sent me a video, and I just did the best I could, and it was very, very difficult to stand up and sit down and hold my breath, and I was huffing and puffing and clearly not elegant about it. But over time, it really was refined just through practice, and then extraordinarily transformational. In fact, for women out there, I was actually in perimenopause, and all of my cycle came back fully and balanced out, and it was quite extraordinary to see my hormones and everything else come to play. And Hatha yoga did not do that. Niguma yoga did that. So I also think that how it's fortified my physical body around my hips, the standing up, the strength in the glutes, a lot of that in Hatha yoga, we're stretching, and sometimes we start to create instability around our hip joints and sacrum. And so for me, it has been just incredible on the body. And I don't think, I feel only happier and freer from it. And I'm sure it was imperfect the way I practiced it, and still not as perfect as Rinpoche. And but I continue to practice, and happily so. So I encourage you to not have fear about it. Just work at it and get in touch with me if you have any issues or questions, and I'll try to help you the best.
In touch with you via nigumayoga.com. Is that the best way?
There, or they can just find me on DM me on Instagram, just Michele Loew or micheleleow.com, and my email is there and everything. So
wonderful.
yeah,
It's a good message. We don't start off perfect, right?
no, yeah, and try not to have so much fear around it, because it really is a beautiful practice and doesn't need to be so precious like that. Just move your body and you'll feel good.
Yes, good advice. Rinpoche.
I think my suggestion and advice to just a general those who have a little bit of stigma and fear, oh, my lung would be go up and down and so on and so forth. I think your emotion is much more important to watch out than the lung. There's a billions of people who practice Dharma, but they're terrible human being at the same time, and they never heard of Niguma yoga. And they still lie to other people as well. And there's a lot of good people as well who practice Dharma and very kind and supportive and inspiring to other people. So don't have that. Whatever the practicing Dharma, whether it's a Niguma yoga, whatever the Dharma practice that you may be doing, don't have too much of a, how do you say it, namto stigma, right? And don't have too much namto, because a namto is also a distraction and also doesn't help anything. So therefore, focus on your foundation, and then be open to many Buddhist different traditions. I think that is very important, and that is the example that His Holiness Dalai Lama has shown over the years. That we witnessed that he has received empowerment from many great masters, Nyingma, Sacha, Gelu, Chonang, Shangpa, and so on. So that is the exemplary figure that we have to look up to. And just a small reminder, I'm nobody, but that is the greatest example, right? And that is a living bodhisattva. And then there's many great master, receive teachings, empowerment, blessings from them, and then to the core, keep your simple practice. Don't overcomplicate your practice. When you keep your practice very simple, that takes you a very long journey. Yeah. Then the beautiful questions to interact with your teachers, attention from your teachers tend to exist on its own. If you try to fabricate the attention from your mentor or your teacher, and then you will be led to a disappointment. If you practice well genuinely, you will get attention not just by the gurus or by the masters, but all the Buddhas and Bodhisattva. That is my understanding. And if you don't have a sincerity and practice in yourself with a core foundation, and then you may run around with a different refuge card name on your forehead, from this master and that master, and wear different clothes, and that will not lead you to to a better place. That will only lead to a further disappointment. So be sincere to oneself. And that's very important. No need to be perfect. Be sincere. And if you practice well enough, not just your guru, but all the Buddhas and Bodhisattva and all the guardian, Daka, Dakini, and protector will be there presently with you. So that is my understanding. And when you have that good quality, and then all the sentient beings can sense it. Just like when we are in the front of Dalai Lama, right? When we are in the front of great masters, we tend to think a lot. Many things matters. The moment we are in the front of our guru, and our mind is in a state of blissfulness, right? And just like that, if you be sincere, good practice. Keep it simple. Keep your practice simple. No need to overcomplicate. Keep your practice simple. Refuge, bodhicitta, awareness of the mind, dedication to all the sentient being. You keep that simple, solid, and then the blessings will come, guidance will come, acknowledgement and recognition by all the great masters will come, and so on. And that is my my suggestion, my advice to you all.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. Your advice is always so practical and real. And I think that's the most helpful advice. Thank you so much. Rinpoche, thank you so much. It's an, yes, you.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, if you don't practice Dharma sincerely, even the ghost will not look at you, let alone the Buddhas and Buddhists.
I haven't heard that. That's great.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you haven't got the book, I believe there's a special discount in the chat, so please go and check out the book. New Dharma chats coming. I think we've got one coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll send you out an email so you can join us there. Rinpoche, we hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, both of you. Thank you to Wisdom Publication, all the team. Thank you, and all the
Wouldn't have
participants.
been possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.